I'm Joel Fairbrother from Bow River Law in Calgary, Alberta, and we're an employment law firm. And today I'm going to be answering the question, can an employer sue an employee for breach of contract? The answer is, in some cases, yes. In some cases, no. An employer can sue an employee for breach of contract in some cases in Alberta. Employers can't usually succeed suing an employee for things like poor work performance or not meeting production targets, or the employee, someone dine and dashes in a restaurant. The employer can't normally take that out of their uh, compensation, although some employers do this from time to time and not allowed to do that, or sue them for it for that matter. They're not allowed to sue employees for taking longer breaks than they're supposed to, stuff like that. However, employers can sometimes succeed there are where there's more to it, where there's something more serious. Like, let's say it's an accountant and the books are grossly negligent. They're so far from acceptable that any accountant would say that. The employer can probably sue that accountant for that if they've suffered losses as a result, because that accountant has more or less communicated to the employer that they know how to do that work, and they're an expert in that work. But it's pretty limited. There's also circumstances like if an employee, let's say they have a side business where they're competing against their employer at the same time that they're working there, the employer could potentially sue them for that. That's a breach of implied terms of contract, and because it's conflict of interest. And more likely the employer, in most cases where someone would think the employer could sue, it's actually just an issue of whether there's just cause or not, just cause for termination of employment. Other circumstances where an employer could sue, usually it's when the employee has left. So if the employee leaves and they've misused confidentiality, or they are breaching a non-solicitation agreement or non-competition agreement, in some cases the employer can sue them there. In many cases, employers will sue just to scare employees, though, or try and prevent lawful competition. So, if your employer has sued you, you should speak to an employment lawyer right away. There's a good chance that you can either avoid liability or at least reduce your liability. Again, I'm Joel Fairbrother from Bow River Law, and I hope this has been helpful.